I've got 4 terms, so I know I'm dealing with another grouping problem, but before I do grouping, I notice that every single one of these terms has an x in it. So before we get started, I'm going to factor out a greatest common factor of x, which would leave me with 2x cubed minus 6x squared plus x minus 3. So I know that I'm going to have 4 answers in this problem because of this exponent up here, and I'm already done with one of them. I know that this right here, if I set it equal to 0, that is one of my solutions. And the other 3 are going to come from what's written here in light blue. So I'm going to copy that down to x cubed minus 6x squared plus x minus 3. And now I'm going to do grouping. So I'm going to put parentheses around the first 2 terms and the last 2 terms. And I'm looking for greatest common factors. So from the first group, I can take out a 2x squared, and left over would be x minus 3. From the second group, I can take out nothing. So I'm going to put a plus 1 here, because I always like to have something there, just so that when I'm filling out my my answer, it looks right. It looks like there's something there. So now I have my my stuff factored, and I can see that my parentheses match the ones that are written in red, so that's a good sign. So my answer here would be 2x squared plus 1, and then the other half of my answer would be x minus 3. So now I have my 2 sets of parentheses that I can set equal to 0. So for the first set of parentheses, this one's going to be the more complicated of the two, and I'm going to work up here in the top right corner. And then my red parentheses are going to be pretty easy, so let's do that first. All I'd have to do is add 3 to both sides, and I would get x equals 3, so that is my second solution of 4 total. So my other 2 answers are going to come from what's written here in teal. So this is another problem where I can use square roots because it's missing that middle x term. So I need to get the square root by itself, and I'm going to do that first by subtracting 1 from both sides, and then I'm going to divide by 2. So I have x squared equals negative 1/2. Now I have to take the square root of both sides and remember to put the plus or minus. So I have x equals, and then over on the right side I have a lot of stuff going on. I'm going to have an I that comes out. The square root of 1 is just 1, so I don't have to write it in the numerator. I can just leave it as I. And then my denominator is going to be the square root of 2. But again, it's not okay to leave a radical in the denominator. So we're going to rationalize by multiplying by the square root of 2 over the square root of 2. And it's going to give me my final answer, which is plus or minus I square root 2, because those two things just get multiplied together. And then the square root of 2 times itself just turns into 2. So this represents my other 2 answers. And then I have my red answer and my green answer for a total of 4.